Hey friends, Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. Hope that you guys are doing well. I'm already smacking the fragrances. We're off to a good start. Today we're talking about 10 fragrances that are iconic. These are scents that as soon as you see them, you should immediately recognize them. And not just that, these are the type of fragrances that year after year after year stay in style.
I'm a man who can never die.
So you could have bought them when they first came out and they smelled great then, and if you buy them right now, they'll smell great now. And if you buy them in 10 years, because I don't think any of these will be discontinued between now and then, well, maybe one, but most won't, they'll smell great then.
It has been, in a word, exquisite.
They stand the test of time, and all of them are linked in the description if you want to check them out down there. It's in no particular order, so this isn't from like worst to best or anything like that. And also there are a lot of other fragrances that aren't in today's list that would fit here. It's just I can't make a list that's like 75 fragrances. Oh, I guess technically I could, but you probably don't want to hang around for like 2 hours.
Your attention span is limited.
All right, let's jump into it. The first fragrance is the one that I feel like could be on the chopping block more so than pretty much anything else we're gonna talk about. And it's this. Prada L'Homme. Now, I'm not saying that this is worse than any of the other fragrances. It's just, I don't trust Prada. That's pretty much what it is. They're up to no good in my neighborhood. Yeah, Prada in the past has sometimes, had fragrances that were really good, that were beloved in the fragrance community, that they ended up discontinuing. But as of right now, you can still find this, and I don't think it's in any danger of being immediately discontinued or anything like that. It's just most of the other ones are probably gonna be here until the end of time. They're like the roaches of the fragrance world, except way more positive than that sounds. So Prada L'Homme, this fragrance is extremely clean. It's easy to wear, it's fresh. It's considered one of the best office fragrances or work fragrances in the entire men's designer fragrance world. At its heart, it's a slightly powdery, soapy, iris-forward fragrance that has a great classiness to it, but at the same time can easily be worn casually. It's kind of an evolution, a pushing forward of what Prada did with fragrances like Amber Pour Homme before. It's like taking that idea, making it slightly fresher and more modern overall, more appealing to a general audience. And this is that type of fragrance that will just always work. Something clean, classy, slightly soapy. There's always going to be a place for fragrances like that. Because I know a lot of people out there want something crazy bold and in your face and very different. But a lot of people just want to smell nice. And that's what this does. Before we move to the next fragrance, guys, here are some codes you can use to save money across different websites. New code for Beauty House, and then we've got the JOMASHOP codes that only work in the app, and lots of other codes as well for Max Aroma, Fragflex, the perfume box, and more. Let's see, where next do we go? Let's talk about this one next. Light Blue from Dolce & Gabbana. And this is the original Light Blue Pour Homme. There have been a bunch of flankers over the years of this fragrance, some better than others, but still there have been a multitude of releases. But if we're talking about the most iconic men's Dolce & Gabbana fragrance that comes in this bottle shape, it's light blue. Yeah, light blue even more so than the original Dolce & Gabbana Pour Homme. And I know a lot of people will see this fragrance and be like, nah man, that's a little bit played out. Well, it is very popular. So if by played out you mean very popular, lots of people enjoy it, lots of people buy it, yes. If you mean played out as in nobody likes how it smells anymore, oh no. This one came out in 2007 and it is still one of the most popular best-selling men's fragrances on the market. And as far as light blue goes, the original, believe it or not, outsells all of those flankers that it has. Once again, a very fresh fragrance. You have a lot of citrus in here off the top, a citrus combination actually. So there's grapefruit in here, there's mandarin orange, there's bergamot. Also has like a kind of sea salty aspect to it. You have some aromatic notes, you have some woody notes in here as well. And you can find it for about 30 bucks, at least 30 bucks if you're shopping at discounters, and if you get the 1.3 ounce size bottle, but still, so it's not that expensive. And you can find like a mid-size bottle, the 75 ml, for under 40. Even though it's thought of more as just a summer daytime fragrance, because it is such an easily worn scent, it has extreme versatility also. Light blue has consistently been one of the most popular men's fragrances in the world ever since it launched. So if it's working now 17 years after it released, I'm pretty confident that in the next 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, it'll still be working. Let's keep it really fresh and clean with Versace Pour Homme up next. Another one that's very affordable. At discounters, that's not gonna cost you very much at all, and it smells a little bit similar to fragrances like Missoni Wave or Chanel Allure Homme Sport. This one is also one of the best-selling men's fragrances in the world, and it came out a whole year after Light Blue. Yeah, it came out in 2008. So 16 years going strong. And it's another fragrance that has a great citrus combination off the top. Also has some floral aspects in there that are very clean. So specifically lemon bergamot and neroli off the top when you first spray this one on. It's a fragrance that is a little bit simple, but also extremely wearable. This is a perfect office fragrance. It's a great summertime, daytime fragrance in general, and it has a little touch of sweetness as it dries down from tonka bean, which helps give it a little bit more push and lasting power. Now, as I said, similar to a couple other fragrances, and I think you could put Chanel Allure Homme Sport in this list also, because that one is iconic, and for a lot of people, when they think Chanel Allure, they think Homme Sport. They don't really actually think about the original Allure anymore. That one's really good too, though. Up next, Explorer from Montblanc. Now, I know, okay, the DNA of this fragrance is actually more Aventus-y, right? This is basically taking Creed's Aventus, giving it some twists and changes, and releasing it as a designer fragrance. But at the same time, Creed Aventus, yeah, that's probably about as timeless as you can get, right? Just as far as more modern DNA styles, that one's gonna be around for a long time. Long time. Essentially, for as long as Creed exists as a fragrance brand, it's gonna be there, right? And so with this, having similarities to Aventus, kind of the same thing going on here, right? Now, as I said, it is similar to Aventus, but it is not the same as Aventus. This one doesn't have quite that smoky pop that Aventus can have. It's also more centered on bergamot instead of that pineapple that you get in Creed's Aventus. Still, extremely appealing year-round usability, daytime or nighttime. Very affordable from discounters. Presentation looks pretty good also. And basically you could think of it as like a fresh, spicy, not quite as deep take on that Aventus DNA with more of a modern woodiness underneath instead of that birch. I'm pretty comfortable in saying that this style of fragrance, for better or worse, is going to be around forever. Let's go blue fragrance next. Bleu de Chanel Eau de Parfum from, of course, Chanel. In my mind, the blue fragrance revolution really kicked off with Bleu de Chanel Eau de Toilette. Kind of took a few years after that one for everybody to really take notice and start pushing out their blue fragrances, but that's what started the ball rolling. And there were fragrances that came before Bleu de Chanel that kind of inspired that style, and there's one of them here that we'll talk about in a second. But that whole blue fragrance idea, right? That makeup of a style of fragrance that can be worn in any season, daytime or nighttime, that has kind of a modern man vibe to it. And I know that sounds stupid, right? Oh, modern man's vibe. Like, what does that even mean? But when you go and smell, 5, 6, 7, 8 blue fragrances in a row that have been released from some of the bigger designer houses, you go, oh, that must be what it is. Okay, it makes sense now. So Bleu de Chanel Eau de Toilette really helped kick that off. But for most people, Bleu de Chanel Eau de Parfum is kind of the pinnacle of that style, that Bleu de Chanel, very classy, not quite as abrasive in your face blue fragrance aesthetic. It smells a little higher end than a lot of the other designer blue fragrances out there. Has great performance without being, as I said, too aggressive, too bold, too in your face. Because for a lot of people that can turn them away. For example, Sauvage Eau de Toilette. Some people just can't jive with that because it's, a little metallic and very punchy when you first spray it on. And this just ticks all the boxes. It has the freshness, has woodiness, has a bit of like an incensey touch as well. Just a really, really good scent for literally anything. It's one of those Swiss Army knife fragrances. And it is still one of the most popular fragrances in the world. Bleu de Chanel last year was number 2, so I don't think it's going anywhere. Follow that one up with the Acqua di Gio Profondo Eau de Parfum. Now, I know I should probably put Acqua di Gio Eau de Toilette in here instead of Profondo. I know. And that may be, in fact, the better choice because Acqua di Gio is still kicking today just like it was when it came out. Well, actually, technically for 2024, they changed Acqua di Gio Eau de Toilette and put it into a new bottle style and reformulated it a little bit, but it still carries on. But yeah, Profondo Eau de Parfum. This is my favorite Acqua di Gio right now, and this is the new 2024 iteration. Armani has had an insane year, just changing up bottles, presentation styles, reformulating things, just a lot of stuff going on. You can tell if it's the new iteration because of the bottle, how it looks with this gradient. The original Profondo Eau de Parfum did not have this gradient where it gets clear toward the bottom. So yeah, this is taking that Acqua di Gio DNA, modernizing it. That's kind of the name of the game sometimes, but modernizing it and putting kind of a green minerality into the scent. Also has a nice boost in sweetness off the top. You don't have as many floral notes in here. Really, that's been stripped away as compared to the Acqua di Gio Eau de Toilette, the original. And I think all those changes make this a better buy for most people nowadays. Big compliment puller, super easy to wear, and actually has pretty good performance as well. And between Acqua di Gio Profondo Eau de Parfum and Parfum, I prefer this one. I think that it overall just captures that Acqua di Gio style made a little more masculine, better than what the Parfum does. Not that the Parfum is awful or anything, it's just for my own taste. I like that one. Let's talk about this next. 1 Million from Paco Rabanne, the original. 1 Million feels like it's been out forever, but it actually came out in 2008. I know, some people are like, oh, it feels like this thing's been out for the last 30 years or something. It's known to be really loud and sweet, you know, big clubbing fragrance, a night out fragrance that you wear heavily to get noticed. And you can do that with this because it is strong. But with 1 Million, if you don't go crazy heavy with it, it's actually got really good versatility. Same thing with Versace Eros, which is not in today's video, but with Eros, sometimes people will pigeonhole that, clubbing fragrance only. Nah, man, you can wear that all over the place. As long as you don't go too heavy with this, you actually get a nice little rose that comes out in the background of the fragrance, some leather as it dries down. You have amber warmth and sweetness here, a good amount of spices, and yes, it does have a decent amount of sweetness from opening and to dry down, but you can actually tease out some other aspects of this fragrance as long as you don't overload it and try to destroy everyone around you with your fragrance. Sometimes, guys, all I'm saying is take that scent bubble and dial it down a little bit, okay? It'll work nicer for you, a little better. But Paco Rabanne 1 Million, this is iconic. As soon as you see this bottle, you know what it is. You may not love the fragrance, you may not like the fragrance, but you know what it is. And with how popular it is, it's sticking around. YSL L'Homme up next, the Eau de Toilette, the original that kicked off that line, which led to a multitude, a cornucopia of flankers, including La Nuit de L'Homme. And YSL L'Homme, in my mind, is a fragrance that kind of predated the big blue fragrance rush, but helped set it in motion. So this one dropped in 2006. And it has an opening that really comes across with some familiarity to it if you have smelled a lot of blue type scents, and that's because it utilizes ginger and citrus, bergamot, lemon, and ginger, technically. And that combination is so appealing, so attention grabbing as soon as you spray it on, that a lot of blue type fragrances utilize that. It didn't smell the exact same as YSL L'Homme, but similar idea, right? Fizzy, sweet ginger mixed with a very easygoing citrus. Yeah, it's pretty nice. Even if you're not into fragrances, it's that type of opening where as soon as you smell it, you're just like, oh yeah, I'll take that, thanks. Biggest bottle you got. That's almost empty. I've never done that before.
Obviously it felt terrible, but it also felt good.
Then as it dries down, it has some warm spices, but still stays fresh, and then has tonka in there, which also gives it sort of a vanilla warmth and sweetness as it dries, and some woods underneath, vetiver and cedar. So this is that type of fragrance that, even though it came out over a decade ago, it still smells great, it's still extremely versatile, and it's a big compliment puller. Now, I saved these last two for last because they have vetiver in there, and I'm a massive fan of vetiver. And I know I just said this has vetiver, but it's two different things, okay? This has a little vetiver working underneath tonka, warm spices, you know, the bergamot, the ginger, all that. These next two focus on vetiver. It's one of the main things. The first one is gray vetiver from Tom Ford. So along with Prada L'Homme, this is one of the quintessential office fragrances for men. And that's because it smells sophisticated, it smells buttoned up, but also has a nice freshness to it, which makes it easier to pull off. A lot of people are kind of scared of vetiver. They don't really dig it a whole lot. And vetiver can come across a bunch of different ways. So you can have some vetiver that's very fresh and woody. You can have vetiver come across sometimes dry and grassy, sometimes smoky, sometimes earthy. You can get a lot of different things from vetiver, a lot of facets, okay? But some of those are not quite as appealing to your average person and some of the others. You say fresh woody and they go, oh yeah, that's pretty nice. You go a little smoky, dank, earthy and they go, oh, no thank you. But they're both vetiver. So yeah, what can happen is somebody can smell a fragrance with vetiver in the name or something and it's that type and they go, ooh, I hate all vetivers. So something like this can be helpful to kind of nudge you a little bit into that world. So this one has grapefruit off the top. It's got a little bit of orris in there, orange blossom, and of course the vetiver that it's named after. And the name makes perfect sense, gray vetiver, because it's like you take that vetiver, still rich and bold, but you kind of clean away a lot of those other aspects, those more off-putting aspects. And then you're left with a fragrance that's gonna have you smelling like a gentleman wherever you go, and it's considered one of Tom Ford's best. And then last but definitely not least is Terre d'Hermes from Hermes. This is the original. And this one, probably more so than anything else here, is a little bit divisive. On one hand, you have people that think this is an absolute classic, a masterpiece, one of the best designer releases ever. On the other hand, you have people who think, it kind of sucks. Yeah, it kind of sucks. That's what they think. So this is really well known for having kind of an earthy orange. So when you first spray it on, you do have a couple of citrus notes actually, but there's also this flintiness and an earthiness in there as well, which is going to be the Terre and Terre d'Hermes earthiness. I know, that's crazy. So it takes that orange and gives it a speckling of soil, which some people, again, do not enjoy. I personally think it smells fantastic. And as it dries down, that vetiver really comes out, and it's a robust vetiver, especially for a designer fragrance. It is going to appeal more to guys that are probably middle-aged and up. I can't imagine too many teenagers or, college-age guys wanting to wear Terre d'Hermes. Maybe to like a really special occasion, but as a daily fragrance, probably not. But for the people that enjoy it, Terre d'Hermes is timeless, and it is considered one of the best releases that Hermes has ever done for men in their more designer-centric realm. Because they do have a number of fragrances that are more like niche type scents, but this one is firmly in the designer realm. So there we go, guys. 10 different fragrances that to me are iconic and will still be worn in heavy rotation by lots of people out there for years and years to come. And again, there are a lot of fragrances that I would put in here with these, but these are some of the first ones that popped into my mind. Thank you all so much. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys.